Hello, everybody. It's me, Miss Independent, and I'm back with another story. Today, we're going to talk about Magnolia Shorty. She was the second artist to be signed with Cash Money. She was murdered. Let's talk about it. Renetta Lowe was born September 30th, 1982, in New Orleans and was raised in the Magnolia Projects. Her parents were Brenda Lowe and Raymond Fletcher. Brenda said that Raymond was a very good father and they had a lot in common, including loving their daughter. Raymond played the keyboard and sang professionally and passed his love of music to his daughter Renetta. Now he played for Fats Domino's and other big names like that. Renetta's parents ended up separating, but both stayed devoted to their daughter. Renetta was always happy. In fact, her family describes her as being amazing and having everything together. Renetta's mother worked hard to shield her from what was going on in the projects, so she kept her busy. Brenda kept Renetta in church, and during the day, Renetta would spend time with her mother and focused on her grades. When the sun went down, she would stay up late making lyrics and listening to the radio. Now, Brenda knew that her daughter had been writing in some book, but she didn't know what it was. Renetta told her mother that she was going to become a rap star, and from that instant, her mother supported her the whole way and even went and bought her a brand new tape recorder. New Orleans is like everywhere else, so people had barbecues and played what they called bounce music. This is where Renetta took off. The crowd loved her. Brenda was amazed on how popular her baby girl had become in such a short amount of time. Renetta instantly started making a name for herself. She called herself Magnolia Shorty after the housing project she grew up in. Stage presence and racy lyrics quickly earned her a new reputation. It is said that twerking originated in New Orleans because of the bounce music. Women would dance explicitly to this bounce music. Magnolia ended up writing a hit song titled Monkey on a Dick, and it caught the ear of the music label Cash Money. Now, this was a huge song. It was played everywhere, and it was in every club as if it was an anthem. Now, this was in the early 90s when brothers Brian and Slim Williams started the label. They had artists like Juvenile, BG, and Lil Wayne. In 1995, Magnolia officially signed with Cash Money and her track Monkey on a Dick took off. Within 5 days, the entire city knew who she was. People knew her voice. People were twerking when her music came on. The radio was playing her music. I mean, she was everywhere. New Orleans felt like Magnolia was saying everything they ever wanted to say. Miss T was the first female artist to sign with Cash Money, and Magnolia was the second. By this time, Magnolia had been deemed the queen of bounce music. Back then, she was even hotter than Lil Wayne. Carl Bridgewater was Magnolia's childhood sweetheart. After a year of being signed with Cash Money, they eloped. August 29th, 2005, Hurricane Katrina hit. 1,833 people died. 400,000 people had to leave New Orleans. Magnolia fled to Texas and went weeks without communicating with her family because everyone had scattered. Eventually, after going on the internet and using other forms of communication, she was finally able to make contact. These people had lost everything, but in their eyes, they still had Magnolia, and she was still doing bounce parties in Texas. Now, this is where a lot of people were from and where a lot of people fled to. And after hearing her, Texas fell in love with Magnolia too. And soon she would be loved around the world. Magnolia continued to make good music back to back. She was in charge of her own management and booking. She often performed several times a day. March 2010, she was a featured artist at a music festival in Texas. There was another guy from Magnolia's neighborhood that was there. He's an ex con by the name of Jerome Hampton. Now, he asked Magnolia to teach him about music, so she did. This was against her family's wishes because this guy had been named as a suspect in several murders in New Orleans and in Houston, and he had just recently been released from jail. On December 20th, 2010, Magnolia was booked for a show in Miami. She was with the same guy, Jerome Hampton, and he wanted to go for the experience. Magnolia needed to stop at her home before she left. She stayed in a gated community, very nice. Magnolia pulls up to her gate and drives in. Another car pulled directly behind her, circled around her, and then stopped directly in front of her car. Shooters got out of the car and started shooting with multiple guns. It was said that it appeared that someone was standing on the car and continued to fire bullets into her body. She was shot over 18 times. Magnolia's family members heard the gunfire. They called her phone and she didn't answer. Now, Miss T also lived in the same complex, and she had received word that a woman and man had been killed in front of the complex. 28-year-old Magnolia Shorty and 25-year-old Jerome Hampton were killed. Word traveled and the community was in denial. It also made the news and the radio. This case remains unsolved. R.I.P. Magnolia Shorty. Imagine where she would have been now had she survived. Shout out Magnolia Shorty.